Hello everybody, I'm InTheLittleWood, also known as Martyn, also known as 2chicken31266. Yeah, sure. Anyway, this is Minecraft Legends. Welcome. So this video will probably serve as basically an episode 1/prologue for the Let's Play that I will do with this game over on Twitch. Chances are I'll be uploading it exclusively on YouTube to the InTheLittleWood live channel, because this isn't the sort of thing that I think would sit on the same channel as like my life series and various other Minecraft SMPs. But this game, if you're not familiar with it just yet, is basically a brand new like action strategy game. So if you've played things like kind of like Pikmin and StarCraft and things like that, it has elements of each of those. You have an army that you rally around you of mobs, and you have a bunch of different things that you have to take down and discoveries to make and mounts to get on, and there's just a lot of cool elements to this. And I think the first thing that I kind of want to point out is that they've done it really well. Like, I was personally genuinely a fan of dungeons because I've enjoyed games like Diablo and Torchlight and stuff like that in the past, and I feel as though they allowed younger players, or even just people that are slightly more casual players, to enter that genre, but without it having to be these dirty, dark, nitty-gritty kind of visual. Minecraft has a really nice, fun, you know, colourful aesthetic, and it allows them to kind of branch out into, honestly, any genre. Like, I could see them doing a shooter and doing it with fireworks and crossbows and, you know, getting that almost like Splatoon audience involved. Like, I just think the brand identity for Minecraft is so strong that they could do anything, quite honestly. And this cutscene, by the way, when talking of doing anything, why can't we get a movie that looks like this? You know, forget Jason Momoa, forget 2025, forget live action. I've said for years that they should give it to Element Animation or, honestly, Illumination. They've just done a Mario one, right? Get them on it. Get a film out that looks like this, and people would be so down for watching it. But anyway, back to the game. I will not speak during the cutscenes, just so you can hear what's being said.
Action, knowledge, come with me. We must witness this together.
Also, just to clarify, this special preview, all of this footage is actually taken from an event that I went to last month, where Microsoft Mojang very kindly invited myself and a bunch of other content creators down to London to actually play the game hands-on for the very first time. So you're seeing right now the first 40 minutes of the campaign, and then we also got to play a PvP game. So there was myself, Timmy, CPK, and I think one of the developers went up against Grian, False, Pixel Riffs, and Ollie, the Orion Sound. So that was the group that I was there with. You might have seen some images on like social media and stuff like that, but that is where this has all come from.
You're afraid. We all are.
No, I am just sad that it has come to this. Shall we begin?
Now, obviously this visual here has much more of a like a cinematic vibe, and for some reason this cutscene we've now transitioned into really worked for me. A lot of times when video games try to do something cinematic and then seamlessly move into the gameplay elements, it doesn't really go down well for me, but something about this and the way it's been composited, whether it is just that blue overlay shimmering on the corners and stuff, it just tickled that little bit of my little lizard brain, you know what I mean?
We didn't mean to startle you.
Your bravery and creativity inspired us to seek your aid. You see, our world is under attack.
It's being devoured.
And it is a danger only you can prevent. Time is of the essence. Will you help us?
The little squat.
Thank you. Now step forward, brave hero, and join us.
Hang on to your stomach. This'll just take a second.
Welcome. I'm afraid we have much to ask of you.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. At this exact moment, I looked over at Timmy's monitor and I could see he was already playing the game, or was at least in the opening cutscene. So you'll see me in just a second, like, be like, oh, do I skip the tutorial? Do I play it? For some reason, the 9-year-old in my head was like, you've got to be faster than him. You've got to be quicker. You've got to beat him. He would have had no idea that he was in competition with me, but I'm just that childish.
Hello.
I hope you're feeling okay. That kind of trip always upsets my stomach.
Thank you for having the courage to come. I am Foresight.
I'm Action.
And I'm Knowledge.
I wish we had met under different circumstances, but this world is under attack, and we need your help. Foul creatures known as the Piglins have emerged from their fiery home, and they mean to conquer this peaceful land and all the creatures that live here.
We need your help to make sure that doesn't happen. But don't worry, you won't be alone.
Behold, I always wanted to say that. We present to you,
Gifts!
with the right melodies from this loot, the LAs will gather your resources, keep them safe for you, and build whatever you need.
Within this case burn the flames of creation. The flames will call upon friends to fight by your side. These golems helped us shape the overworld, and now they will help you defend it.
And last, but not least, this is the banner of courage. Raise it high, and this world will rise to your aid.
The piglins' hunger is insatiable. They already have a foothold in the overworld. And if they are not stopped, they will devour everything.
We didn't prepare the creatures of our world for this day. But we believe you can.
That's why we called upon you. If there is any hope, it's you.
Hello?
We don't have much time, but just enough to show you a thing or two about these tools.
So something you're going to notice in my perspective versus a lot of the other people is that I decided to opt for controller as opposed to mouse and keyboard.
There's no telling what you'll face in the overworld now that the piglins are here. So the sooner you master these tools, the better.
And the reason that I decided to do that was because I am more familiar with playing Minecraft, at least a game like this, by using the controller. I did it for dungeons, and all of the same familiarity was there, you know, shoulder buttons for going across the hotbar, jump on A, that kind of stuff. Whereas if I played on mouse and keyboard, they gave us a sheet with all the controls on it, and I looked at it and I was like, oh man, I don't want to have to figure out what X, C, V, Z are and all this sort of stuff. I was like, no, let's keep it simple, make it look the way it's supposed to look. So this is the first part of the mechanics. So this is gathering resources, and it's really simply done. So you've got your 5 allays, your blue allays, and basically all you have to do is hold down the left trigger to enter the build view, and then when you press the right trigger, you confirm the placement of the allay, and it will basically grab all resources around it. Now you can't recall that allay, at least not from my experience, so it is a case of it has to finish gathering all the resources before it then gets recalled to you. So you can see those trees are done for, and now I'm back up to 5 blue allays, and we're going to do the same here, but this time around we're going to do it for stone. So the way that you kind of move between this is on your hotbar, you're going to actually budge between different items. So you basically drop down the allay, you start gathering, and away you go. And this is a big portion of the PvP game as well, which if I ever put that footage up, you'll see that gathering resources expands to not just like, you know, stone and wood. You actually end up getting like your minerals like redstone and coal and everything like that. There are TNT cannons you can create. Like, it really does expand. So then we move on to the building of structures. So obviously just left on the D-pad, you hold left trigger to go into build view to show where this ramp is going to be, and it is as simple as holding right trigger to pick your start point, and then you just drag it around until you pick your final spot, and then there you go, you're all sorted. It's really good.
Well done. Stairs are going to save you a lot of time out there.
And there we go. And you'll now notice in the bottom left corner that we also have these little fellas. So these are yellow allays, and they are specifically for building. So yellow builds, blue mines. Pretty simple concept to get down with. Typical opening a chest with a single button press. We're digging that. And now it's time to actually create mobs. So one of the elements that I didn't initially click into, and I don't really know why, is the fact that you build it just like any other structure that you would, and that's fine. But actually, once you've created the mobs, you do have a limit on how many of them you can actually have and bring along with you. So the flames of creation that were mentioned in the previous cutscene, you'll see a flame icon in the bottom right corner in just a moment, and basically that is your count, that's your tally for how many you can have. So if I walk over towards one of these structures in a second, I start spawning them, and you'll see in the bottom right corner, I've got a maximum capacity of 20. The little stick guys, the little wooden fellas, are for taking down mobs, and then the golems are actually for destroying structures. So different mobs have different things that they specialize in, and as you can expect, something like a creeper is just purely for explosion purposes. Like, it does mass structure damage, but I'm unsure as to whether creepers do mob damage. Not 100% sure on that. Now, the one thing that I didn't do, which I think a lot of the other players did on the day, was they they got more into the nitty-gritty of actually giving different commands to different types of mobs. So like I mentioned, some of them are for attacking other monsters, some of them for attacking buildings, and you can actually give instructions to each subset of those. You'll probably notice it on the left-hand side in a little while above the allays. There's like this extra menu. I personally never delved into that because I kind of felt happy just getting my crew and just running up to stuff. So you run over to your crew, you press X over the top of them to get that circle to go around you to kind of bring them all over. And then as soon as you press Y, you place down a flag, like a, you know, a hologram virtual flag. And then they will basically just move in that direction and attack anything in their path that is relevant to their type. So it's all pretty simple, quite honestly. Nice. False piglins. Okay, so basically what's going to happen next is I'm going to grab all of my boys. We're going to make our way up the hill, and you're going to see one of the first things that you will see in the overworld, and that is going to be the piglin spawners. So this thing kicks out new mobs every so often, and as you can see, the golems are going to town attacking the structures, and then obviously the little arrow fellas are basically shooting out sticks and trying to take out the piglins that come out. But it does seem as though they're attacking structures when there's some downtime, when there's a lack of, you know, other entities around. They seem to give it a crack. So that's something I didn't notice at the time, but it's very, very cool to know.
As I must ask we get moving. One of the villagers has just...
I didn't have any time to hear them speak. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was trying to catch up and beat Timmy.
Thank you again for your courage. We are honored to have you as an ally.
We'll be with you every step of the way.
That poor horse must be so confused. I hope that, like, their magical abilities allow them to speak to the horse so he actually understands what's going on, because he's just been pulled into a whole multiverse with absolutely no clue of what's going down. I thought I'd talk over this bit as well, by the way, just to give you a sense of what the load times are like on PC, and they were pretty swift in all fairness. But here we are. Brand new world. Slightly different aesthetic to the cutscenes, but I'm really, really digging it. And I actually thought we would remain around this central structure and we would have the piglins come towards us. Turns out that wasn't the case. As soon as the campaign kicks in, they're like, nope, you've got to go help a village which is in need quite some distance away.
We would love to introduce you properly, but a village needs your help. Please, go to them.
You got it, boss man. You can see me just like whip the map open and I'm like, yeah, straight there. I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna get there before Timmy does, because I'm pathetic. But anyway, little thing you need to know is that the mounts can vary. So when we played the multiplayer aspect of the game, I ended up coming across what basically looked like a cockatoo, I guess. And that one actually had the ability to kind of glide through the air as you jump down, which I thought was pretty sick. They do give you a couple of starting resources, as he's just mentioned, but I decided as soon as I was heading out into this world that if I was about to go into combat, I was probably going to need some kind of, you know, wood and stone under my belt. And the nice thing is you don't have to stay there. You can plonk down your allays, you can leg it, carry on through the world, and they will just keep mining on in the background, which is pretty nice. This was me going through the menu to see whether I had any other mobs I could spawn, but the answer was no. But you've got your stairs, you've got a gate, you've got the extendable wall, which you can draw pretty much to any extent you would like. The carpenter hut heals nearby structures, which was a really cool thing to know. And then the one on the far right was one that we actually utilized in PvP a lot, and that was the arrow tower. And those things are kind of strong, and you'll probably see at the end of this video that, and I think a lot of us did this, we all became quite bad manners about it. There was a lot of BM where in the campaign we would go around one of the piglin sort of like patches, if you will, where the nether is starting to spill out into the overworld, and we actually ended up just putting arrow towers around the entire perimeter of it, basically meaning that any mob that was stepping around in there was just getting absolutely done. Now, I came across this thing, and I still to this day do not know what that is. It's some kind of structure. I think later on, Knowledge actually says to me, like, oh, you know, play the game a little bit more. You know, not those exact words, but he says, I'll do some research into what these are, and I'll let you know later on. So my assumption, my guess, is going to be that that is some kind of teleportation system, and there will be almost a bit like a Dynasty Warriors game. Maybe there might be a bit of a give and take where there's going to be constant stuff happening around the world and you've got to fast travel about the place. Seeing diamond and not being able to mine it, absolutely heartbreaking. And as of right now, I actually don't know how to unlock the further stages of mining stuff. So, like, you know, in the campaign, I'm pretty certain that through this entire video, you will only see me utilizing wood and stone, and that's it. Maybe coal unlocks, and the problem with that is that when we went into the PvP game, I ended up having then everything unlocked, like redstone, diamond, iron, coal. It was all there. So you can imagine how that would have been slightly overwhelming for me. But you can see me having a little potter about, picking up every fox that is there and every fox imaginable. And then dead ahead of us is our very first village. So basically, each village that I've encountered so far seems to have a central structure. And the piglins are rocking in, causing a right nuisance. The villagers making stairs. I always find that strange. Even the fox is like, nah, I'm out. And then you've got a bunch of the villagers trapped inside of cages as well. Poor guys. And our job basically is to come in, clean house, and make some repairs to the central structure. You can see that it's become slightly like cracked and overgrown and just looks a little bit worse for wear, quite honestly. So this is going to be interesting for me to see what I did, because I've obviously not watched this back since the event, which is kind of why I wanted to do this in this fashion. But look, you can see the smoke bellowing out of the top of the tower at the moment. And it's decided that I was going to slap down some golems, slap down a bunch of these bad boys, and basically just stand at the structure after giving these boys a whack and start spawning in a bunch of mobs. There you go, just holding down X.
By the piglins can be used to fuel your spawners. Collect the lapis to keep your fires burning.
Yup. So what was interesting was it seemed to be in the PvP mode that killing mobs gives you lapis, which allows you to then use the spawners. But then actually when you find areas where there are structures created by the piglins, whether it's their spawners, their portals, whatever it may be, that in the multiplayer actually seemed to provide us prismarine. And you would use that again for a number of different things, whether that be creating your own structures, making upgrade towers, and various buffs for your army. There was all that kind of stuff going on, which was quite interesting. So there was a little bit of resource management going on, as well as being mindful of your positioning constantly. I wasn't wasting any time here, by the way. I was just straight up getting this cage open and getting all those mob freed ASAP. And there's just one more cage left over here. I'm sending my boys out. Even the wild foxes have decided to join in as well, and the wolves. There was even an ocelot there. I didn't clock you on top of the tower the first time round. That's pretty cool. And here I am, the hero. But this structure is still a little bit worse for wear. So it's obviously going to make us craft one of those structures that will allow us to repair the tower.
The immediate danger is over, but the village is devastated. The piglins have ruined the fountain.
A carpenter hut will repair nearby structures. Get the LAs to work building one for you.
I wasn't entirely sure, hand on heart, what that giant golden beacon was. I didn't know if that was the recommended place for putting down the carpenter hut, but the one I placed down showed the radius is overlapping with the central tower, so I was like, oh, happy days then, no worries. And you can tell that I already don't fully know what the army count, the flames of creation are in the bottom right corner, because I'm still 4 mobs short of having a whole army on my person. Not as though I struggled or anything, but I definitely would have maxed out and sweated it more had I known. But you can see the progress to repairing the tower is a little bit slow, but I think it fast forwards for you just for simplicity's sake. And it looks really cute once it's done like this. Part of me always wishes that all of these kind of cool custom elements would be made into a bedrock map to coincide with the release of games like this. Like, how cool would it be to have a first-person dungeon to go through with the release of dungeons? How cool would it be to have a, you know, a wave mob sort of, you know, tactical game released for Bedrock when Legends releases? It's something that I always feel as though they should do, particularly because these games tend to reach out to more people. It would be such a cool way of showcasing it and, you know, sounding the horn, if you will. Got a little bit more resource gathering. I'm just going to keep in every minute of this. There'll be times where I won't speak, but I wanted you to kind of see everything in its full glory. And there's even little moments like this where I start bouncing around on these mushrooms, which is pretty cool. So it's not so much bouncing, it's more so the sense of it gives you a jump boost, if you will. So you walk over the top of these. Once you've had a few steps, you can go pretty high. And there's no fall damage or anything like that. Saw a smidge of redstone back there as well. But we're onwards to the next village. Was that fall damage? I didn't remember that. Maybe because I fell without the little mushroom, the bounce cap boost.
Hey, that looks
This was the tower. Okay, so it wasn't the little portal thing from earlier on. It was this tower that I came across, and he said he would research it later.
This may be of use against the piglins if I can figure out a way to make it movable.
Yeah.
You keep working away at the piglins and protecting the villagers, and I'll keep working on this tower.
That was it, yeah. I knew he said something to that extent. So this tower currently, even right now, having played the multiplayer and stuff like that, not a clue what it is. You can tell that I hadn't really listened to the cutscene properly because I slapped down one of those repair towers thinking like, oh, maybe it's just broken and I need to help it. Unless I was just being big brain and I was thinking like, well, maybe the game doesn't want to tell me you can just repair it, but I'll try it anyway. And then this speed boost here that I've got, this sprint boost, I'm not entirely sure what facilitated it. It happened a couple times when I was playing, and I don't know if it was a case of, I don't know, like whether it was just a case of I sprinted for long enough and then it kicked in, or whether there was some other contributing factor.
More images in the well.
Is it our hero?
Another village, it seems. And more piglins.
Not again.
Should we go warn them?
As much as it hurts our hearts to see this happen, we must trust that our hero will see them through it.
And here they cometh again. Piglins, all sorts, ready to rock.
You can still save them. Hurry, hurry!
So you can already see at the beginning of this engagement that I immediately am a lot more comfortable with the controls and getting my spawners down, understanding the assignment. What I didn't understand though, clearly from my behavior in the next few seconds, is one, I've already got plenty of stick boys, but the other more crucial one is that I'm just completely ignoring this, your spawned army is full. I was like, okay, sure, no worries. But you can see none of the mobs over there are actually going for these piglins on the left. I thought maybe there might be a little bit of reaction from the mobs to be like, oh, is there a damage source to the central tower? And if a mob is idle, then go ahead and attack the mobs. You know what I mean? I was expecting a little bit more on that front, but it's fine. Also, was I on fire there for a moment? I think I might have been.
The piglins are gone.
They're gone.
We thank you.
Time to heal
And
up
the
again, I
villagers
guess.
want to thank you too. Go to the village chest at the base of the fountain for a surprise.
Ah, so that's what the golden beacon was. I wonder if maybe just last time the golden beacon spawned, but the chest itself didn't. I can't imagine that's the case, given that they've actually just done the voiceover about the chests. Maybe that was just a random little bug. And that was a question, actually, that I saw a lot of people asking Pixel Riffs on Twitter, was like, in terms of what you played, like, was it buggy, was it laggy, was it choppy, anything like that? And I can say from my experience, no, it was bang on. Like, it feels like a really nice, solid, clean product, which I'm very excited by. Because obviously some games nowadays, they end up dropping into early access and beta and alphas and stuff like that. But this game is coming out as a single done finished product. I'm really intrigued to see, if anything, what kind of expansions they will do next year. You know what I mean? Oh, you can see that I've opened up the different unit menu by accident. If you want to rewind and pause that, you'll be able to see that there are various mob types that you can take control of. You can either choose all mobs, you can choose like melee, ranged, and then also you do have healer classes as well. That's another type of mob that we haven't discussed just yet, but there are some special rock golems we came across in the multiplayer, which were like mossy ones, and basically they would act as healers, which was pretty cool. As I mentioned before, you had creepers, they exploded on contact, and they actually did huge damage to our monument in the PvP mode. Now, you're going to probably notice in the bottom left corner that there is a little tally above the wood. So you'll see that I think it capped out about 150-ish there. And you saw that my wall couldn't be made any further, even though I've still got another excess of like, what, 507 wood available. And the reason for that limitation is because that is how much a single allay can build. So notice how I've gone from 3 to 2 there, and then I'm going to go from 2 to 1. It's because the allays can only work on one thing at a time, basically, and they put caps on what those things are, which is totally fair in my opinion. They're pretty quick to erect the walls. Like, you can already see in the background there that the walls have already gone up on the other side of town. Now, this is going to be interesting to see whether I've made the same mistake I did in multiplayer and forgot to put a gate on this thing, because that is definitely something I did in multiplayer, which I regretted immediately. So I'm having to potter about, slapping down some wood collection, and now we're ready for the new wave.
More piglins approaching.
The piglins will attack from all sides, so be sure to check your compass to see where they're coming from.
And then for the next couple minutes here, I just make some very bizarre and questionable decisions. Like, I remember doing this at the time and feeling a little bit out of sorts, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because the villagers were panicking, that I panicked, or I don't know if it was whether it was the timer on the screen felt like a new element, and I was like, oh god, what's happening? But watching it back in this very moment, it's pretty evident that the mobs are going to continue to spawn for a minute 50, and depending on which direction the piglin banner, if you will, is on the compass above, that seems to be the direction that the mobs are going to be coming from. So we've had an initial wave from, you know, this corner, and it's going to continue from there. Now, do I make a gate? So I get the whole gang together, the whole squad's here, but do I make a gate? The one thing that I never actually learned, and it may not even be an actual mechanic, but if you do happen to just erect nothing but walls around your base and you don't have time to make a gate, is it possible to tear down a wall and put a gate up? If anybody has seen evidence of this in other gameplay footage, then please feel free to let me know. But that is something that I didn't manage to do in the end, and we had to wait basically for the enemy to come and destroy our structure before we could then put up the gate. But yeah, maybe like in the, you know, in the encounter or two after this, maybe that's something you learn. Only 56 seconds left on the clock. I think they're all taking a good battering on that wall over there. Yeah, look at that. They're going to sort of bottleneck through there. I think I put my mobs there and they're just kind of ready for the onslaught that's about to come. I do wonder how much of this you could survive simply by just putting walls around things. Like, one of the strategies that I realized was quite helpful in the end for the multiplayer mode was you can have all the arrow towers you want and this, that, and the other, but if they only have one wall to get through in order to get to your central, like, monument or whatever its technical phrase is, you're probably better off just putting a bunch of walls up. Because if you just have that thing have to peel back like an onion in order to get to the center, they're going to really struggle to get there. Like, it's going to take them a hot minute to traverse the landscape and push through those walls, whilst also simultaneously being picked off by ourselves. But you can see some of my mobs are trying to get in here and give them a clap. I'm going out there with my sword as well. And there are some mobs, just to point out, that you can't actually deal damage to with your own sword. So as much as I'm rocking this diamond sword right now, which looks way cooler in this design than it does in base Minecraft, even that got like a bit of a visual style up, a bit of a glow up. But yeah, I noticed that some mobs you just can't seem to do any damage to, but some of them are massive. Like when we played the multiplayer, there was this giant armadillo thing, and I was like, I do not know what you are, but you do not hurt.
You've done it! Village saved! We knew you'd do it.
The villagers are thrilled that you defended their fountain.
Yeah, they are.
They've put some extra resources in the chest for you.
Why am I still trying to spawn things? Oh my god, Martyn of the past. Stop trying to keep pace with Timmy and just play the game. Pay attention. There you go. You've hit the resource carry limit. Oh, I hadn't realized that was the thing that I'd reached. So whenever it's got that blue highlight on it in the bottom left corner, that seems to be the case. So I've got a cap out of 1,000 on stone and the 250 on lapis. That's another thing, actually. So in the multiplayer version, in the PvP, you do actually place down these special buildings within your, you know, your base. And you can actually place down upgrades within them. So whether that be the army size can be increased, whether that is the number of allays that you have, even just placing down an upgrade that allows you to then go out and gather certain resources, that is also really good as well. So if someone is coming over and they keep placing down like TNT cannons and stuff like that, if you cut them off at the knees by going into their base and getting rid of their redstone generator, or at least their redstone mining perk, that is the thing you can do, and you can kind of level the playing field again. You can kind of like take them out a little bit. Okay, I did have to do a jump cut here just because I did a whole lot of nothing for a couple of minutes, and I don't know if that was I had a drink or if I was talking to one of the developers, but I was basically just stood still. But off we go. We can see that there are some piglin outposts, so not villagers, these are piglin outposts, and these are dotted all around the map from what I gathered. And I think in this scenario now, our new objective is to take out 3 of them, and that is basically where I cap out in this playthrough. And I think a lot of the other creators that were at the event, we were all playing relatively efficiently, like at equal pace, and I think nobody got any further than taking down the 3rd outpost. I think everybody else got 2 and a bit, but I actually managed to beat the 3rd one, and you get to see the little cutscene after it as well, which might be a teensy tiny exclusive on this channel compared to the others. But this is one of the first times that you actually have to use structures in order to get over to another location. So obviously to traverse the lava, you're going to burn, you're going to get toasted, but this is where you can start to use the ramp, but you can go horizontal with them as opposed to just vertical, which is pretty cool. I think I didn't choose a good anchor point at the beginning. Keep pushing. Oh, where is it? There we go. My horse is burning. I think I'm burning. Oh god, Martyn, place it down or walk backwards. Someone's getting hurt. It's me. Oh geez, I think it was a couple of my stick men. So we just rock up to the gates and they start going to town on it. Obviously, whilst we're here, it's going to start spawning this in. A little part of me was trying to see whether I could build a ramp there in order to get over the walls, but that clearly wasn't going to work. And then as you can see there, I wasn't actually able to place any of my own mob spawners within the bounds of the piglin outpost. So not even just the outpost itself or its immediate border, but even the lava and the kind of netherrack infested area that's nearby. So there you go. Am I going to stop spawning mobs? No, I'm not, because I clearly didn't learn at the time. There we go. Back in we go. So I've got 20 out of 20. And what's funny is the gate is down, and I noticed this was the thing in multiplayer as well, was when the piglins came over just then, they lowered the gate, and my mobs, if they were smart enough, would have actually run straight inside, but they didn't. And that extended to the PvP as well, and I think that was probably the only element in the entire time that I played this game whilst in London where I was a bit like, I don't know how I feel about that. So for example, say like Green and Ollie come over, they're absolutely battering our walls. I obviously can't get out there to deal with them, so I have to go out the gate in order to attack them. If one of them is just baiting me at the wall and then the other one is stood by the gate, as soon as those, you know, pointy spikes come down, then they could just run straight in. And I was like, oh, that doesn't really feel very fair. You know what I mean? I mean, granted, any of these mechanics, it works for both sides. So, you know, in the interest of fairness, I guess it works for both parties, so it's not too much of an issue. But I kind of wish there was some kind of element or some kind of deterrent from being able to do that. One thing I didn't try, actually, was building ramps on the inside to the top of our walls. So maybe that would be a way of getting yourself and your allies scaling up your own walls and out the top, but without having to open the doors and just, you know, have the welcome party just roll straight on in. I'll have to give that a little bit of an experiment next time I play the game, or if I go more into the campaign, you know, following this video, we'll see how that one works out. I mean, a little workaround could either be, if they enter before the wall has technically been breached anywhere, then maybe they get a couple of cobwebs on them, or maybe there's a slowness effect that kicks in. You know, these vanilla enchantments or mechanics that are available in Minecraft that they could implement into this, but I'll sort of hold my opinion and sort of judgment on that for now, because I haven't had adequate time to properly experiment with this bad boy. You can see what I'm doing here as well is the golems are working on that other structure over there. The mobs aren't really that much of a problem for anything other than me, so I'm basically just going to town on them. Granted, I've lost a heart and a half, but I've decided to just have them start attacking this other structure because they'll be doing a little bit of damage. Granted, not as much as the golems, but it's enough to keep it ticking down for the meanwhile. And then there we go. The whole squad's going 20 out of 20. I'm actually very surprised I haven't lost a single mob in that little encounter. I guess I just kind of like bottlenecked them and had them stuck in a corner. It was a really inefficient location in order for them to spawn. And then you can see you get that little sort of like pyre of fire come out in the corners. And then you're ready to take on a new wave of the mobs. But the golems are just absolutely bopping them, as well as me. There you go. As a great man once said in the year 2000, break the walls down.
This outpost is done.
Good old Y2J.
But there are more piglins out there. There's no time to waste.
Yep. There are still 2 more piglin outposts to be had. Ooh, cutscene.
Interesting. The world is waking to the war. Where will this lead?
And I love that immediately. I'm just like, yeah, nah, I'm not taking the bridge that I created a moment ago. Just headed straight east, straight up to the objective, being as efficient as possible, probably just to get ahead of Timmy. Let's be honest, that's been the trend so far. So you can see I've got a piglin outpost on the southern end, one on the eastern end, and those are the 2 things that I want to tackle. So I think because I've spoken over such a vast portion of this video, I want to leave you with the final 6-ish minutes of this video and let you enjoy the sound tracking, the sound effects, the visuals, and all of it together, so you can get a real sense of what it might feel like if you're playing the game for yourselves. If you've got any additional questions about the campaign, then feel free to let me know in the comments, because I've only gotten to play this 40 minutes, so I can enlighten you on some more details, or there might have been some FAQs that we put to the developers that I might be able to shed light on. And then the next time I'm allowed to share footage on the campaign is going to be on the 14th of April. And I do still also have that PvP footage, but I was really not great in that game. So if you want to see me not contributing to my team that much and chasing Green away from our base every time he was harassing us, then let me know. I'll feel free, you know, I'll happily dump that on maybe this channel as well, just so you can have a little nosy at it. But enjoy the rest of this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all on the 14th of April for more Minecraft Legends. Enjoy!
Destroying those nether spreaders will help clear the air.
I hate to admire their engineering, but those blaze-rod towers are pretty dangerous, and their range is impressive. The LAs will help you get up there with a ramp. All you have to do is play the right melody. Apply the right pressure, and even the tallest tower will fall. Our curious creeper is back, and they brought a friend.
What do you think they'll do?
We will find out soon enough.